everyone, it's Karen. Okay, so two things that I want to do today. I have my cat in my lap because she's being crazy, but the first thing I want to do is a long time ago, I said I was going to do a 1K Q&A. Totally never did it. So this is the last call if you have any questions and didn't have a chance to respond last time I posted the announcement, or if you have any other questions that have come up, put them here. I'll look back at my other video and look back at this video and do a Q&A soon in the next couple weeks. I'll actually for real do it this time. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is I was just thinking about how we are getting really close to halfway through the year, and I was thinking about what have I read and loved. Well, it's a bit too soon to do like a mid-year check-in, and so I'm gonna do a late quarterly check-in. So that's what today's video is. What were the 4 books that have stuck with me and that I enjoyed the most from the first quarter of the year, from January until the end of March? So in no particular order, here they are. The first one is Grant Park, which I read with Read Soulette Book Club with Dee Dee. And listen, this guy, I will read anything that he has written and I will love it. This is one of my least favorite of his, but I loved it so much. Like, saying it's my least favorite of his means nothing, because my least favorite of his is way above and far superior to any other book that anyone else has written, I swear. So anyway, side note, my family recently read The Last Thing You Surrender by him, and everybody gave it 5 stars. We loved it. So anyway, Grant Park takes place in Chicago. Basically, this guy has secretly published an article for the newspaper that he should not have published because he was told no quite a few times, and went above people's heads to sneak in late at night into the newspaper offices and hack into someone's computer and publish it. It was basically about how the author was like sick of white people's bullshit, and honestly the article wanted to make it made me want to cheer because there were so many points that were so valid and so good, but obviously the newspaper wants to look good and it didn't want to publish it. So basically this other guy, I'm forgetting all their names because it's been a while since I've read it. This other guy, he's the one whose computer was hacked into, and so he ends up getting fired because he should have changed his password more often. Like, he's basically like the scapegoat to make sure that the newspaper looks okay and looks like they have taken care of the problem. Well, he's obviously livid and tries to go after the guy who published the article. However, the guy has been kidnapped. Like, basically, Leonard Pitts Jr.'s books, they are not slow. They start off with a bang and they keep going. And this one in particular, like, was so funny. Like, obviously there are so many serious themes, so many intense issues. Honestly, there's a story from the author's real life that I feel like inspired this book. But at the end of the day, there's still humor in this book, and I loved it so much. Very good if you want a fast-paced mystery thriller sort of book. The next one, hardly anyone is talking about, and it's, well, same for this one. Nobody talks about this one. Get on it. It's good. The other one is Mouth to Mouth by Antoine Wilson. This is perfect for shorty September, or if you just want like just kind of like a cozy, really small viewpoint sort of a book. Basically, this guy is at an airport and he's waiting for his plane that has been delayed, and he finds a former acquaintance who is also waiting for the same plane as him. Now, they're not friends. They haven't seen each other in years and years and years. And basically, one of the guys has access to like a VIP lounge sort of a situation. And so basically he ends up going with the other guy to the VIP lounge, and they end up just sitting down, and the rich guy is going to tell a story to the other guy. And just the vibe of just like sitting down and listening to a story just really sucked me in. Like, I just love that feeling of like sit back. I have a story to tell you. And the story is crazy. And the interaction between the two guys is crazy too, because they're just acquaintances. And you can tell the rich guy literally has hardly any idea who the other guy is. And yet he kind of pretends like they're old friends. Like, somebody has to hear this story. He has to tell it. And this guy was in the right place at the right time to hear it. And the ending is insane. I just really loved it. I loved it so much. And yeah, anyway. Okay. The next book was One Station Away by Olaf Olafsson. He's one of my favorite authors, apparently, but I didn't really know that until I realized how much I loved The Sacrament. And I was like, dude, I've never read any of his other books. I should probably get on that. So this one is the one that came right before The Sacrament. And it basically tells a bunch of interwoven stories that center around this doctor who's really interested in researching more about locked-in syndrome. And it's literary fiction, kind of about like access to stories and who has a right to know your story and how do you communicate your story and whose life has value and what does that value look like. And I don't know, there's so much on here. I did a separate review for this one, but I definitely really liked it. I really love medical theme sort of books, and so this one is definitely included in that, but I felt like there was so much more and so much that you could reflect on and think about after reading this book. The last one is actually most of these. You know what, guys? I'm just realizing that every single book I picked was a book that hardly anyone is talking about. So maybe I should go to my library. I'm in a bit of a reading slump right now. I feel like I should go to my library and find the most obscure book that nobody is talking about and try and read it. Because I'm noticing that that's a common theme with all of these. As well as some others that I wanted to put in here, but I read them in April. I was going to say or beyond, but it's still April. So the next one was Augusta's Daughter. This is told by this Swedish lady. It looks self-published. It doesn't look like it would be good. It is so good. This basically tells the story of why people may have come to America from Sweden in the 1800s. It talks about one person, Augusta, and her daughter, and just their story and how hard their lives were. And like, this is not unusual. And in fact, our family came from Sweden, and we don't really know a lot about like why, excuse me, why they came here. I do know that when I looked up the town or the area that they came from, it's the same area where IKEA was founded, but I forgot the name of it. Anyway, that's where we came from. And the only thing, because we read this for our family book club, so there's multiple generations of women that attend this book club, all from the same family, but most of them are like my mom's cousins. And so we often kind of dive into different family memories and things like that at book club, which makes it so beautiful. But anyway, this one was particularly interesting just because we did come from Sweden, and so all these women are trying to reach back to their earliest memories of people that were more closely connected to Sweden. And because of the age range, there are different experiences and different memories from people depending on how old they were. So like, out of my mom's cousins, she is the youngest one that attends, and so the ones that are 10 years older than her or more, they're the ones that have all these memories of some of the older relatives that my mom might not have, because a lot of her relatives died when she was like in 4th grade or so. I know like both her grandparents died when she was in 4th grade. Anyway, regardless, I'm going off on this tangent. But one story that we do know is basically we were told that someone came over from Sweden because they didn't have shoes and it was cold outside. That seems like a real dumb reason when you think about it. But in this book, you see somebody that doesn't have shoes and you see like what that actually means, and just like the intensity of what their lives were like in Sweden in the 1800s and how intense things were. And, you know, part of me is like always wishing that they would stay, because I think that Sweden is a country that everyone kind of like, not really glamorizes, but like it's looked upon in a very good light, especially by liberal Americans. And yeah, so it was interesting to hear how tough things were, and like, I don't know, just to think about what would our situation be like if we hadn't come over, if we would have held out and all this sort of stuff. And I don't know, I thought it was really interesting, whether you have a family background that is from Sweden or not. Like, the story was intense and really good, just telling the story of a lady in the 1800s in Sweden. So these are my 4 favorite books of the first quarter of the year, and hopefully I will check in soon at the end of June, which will be after my backpacking trip with Lindsay, and we can check in and see what kind of rose to the surface for the second quarter of the year. So anyway, I'm curious what your favorites were. Like, either make a response video or just tell me below what were some of your definite top favorites from January until March. See you guys.